This episode includes discussion of suicide and mental health struggles. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, help is available. You can call or text 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. And welcome to that's right, folks, it's yet another edition of the Throwing Bagels Podcast. Hello, Kevin Mooney here, along with Chris Douglas, Jason Hamo. Hey, guys.
What's
Hello.
up?
What's up? That's a 90s flashback, almost a 90s flashback right there. What's up?
What's up?
What's up? We have on the show today, we are joined by yet another special guest. She's the Senior Vice President of Communications and the Chief Brand Officer of Oswego Health. Also, SUNY Oswego class of 2004. It's our pleasure to welcome in Jamie Leszczynski. Jamie, thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So we're in the winter months right now. There's a lot of course, that's the time when illnesses run rampant, the flu, you name it.
Yeah.
How critical of a time is this for the communications team at Oswego Health?
Absolutely. I mean, really from a communication standpoint, we always try to position ourselves, because we are the largest healthcare system in Oswego County, as that resource for the community, providing, warranted information, valid information, health tips and warnings. And really this time of year, because it is flu season, we've seen a significant spike in individuals coming to the emergency room. So much so that we're almost at the brink of having to surge. And that's not only our hospital, but many of the Syracuse hospitals and regional hospitals. But really it's informing the community of when to go where. So if you take the flu, for example, light fever, no, conflicting comorbidities, light fever, maybe you're experiencing some other sort of symptoms that are mild, just call your primary care doctor or go to the local urgent care. Really, if you want to go to the emergency room, that's when, maybe the symptoms have prolonged for several days or getting worse. You've gone to your doctor and now they're recommending you go to the hospital. But more often than not, the flu can be treated with your primary care or in urgent care. So from a comm standpoint, we're just trying to navigate and help the community understand when to go where and what to look for.
So there's a lot of different ways to communicate with the community, social media, TV, newspaper, radio, what have you. What's been the most effective way to communicate, most effective channel that you use?
Yeah, so we have about 1,600 employees, and I'm a huge advocate for internal communication. I think that's the best mechanism of kind of the telephone game, right? So if your internal communication is strong and your employees understand the who, what, where, why, they're going to help you to advocate for the community. And that's almost more of a trusted source. So your neighbors at dinner table, your relatives, they're going to trust someone that's much closer to kind of the issue at hand. So we make sure that our employees are informed first. And then we're reaching out to traditional media and non-traditional media. There's no one form of communication, I think, that works the best. It all depends on the audience and where they're at. So we deploy throughout all of our communication channels, depending on the topic. And when it's something such as flu or anything that is kind of like a regional issue or maybe a larger issue, I don't want to use the C word of COVID, but, you've got to be able to communicate effectively and utilize many different communication platforms to make sure that all of the audiences that you're reaching are connected and understanding the message.
As the Chief Brand Officer and the Senior Vice President of Communications for Oswego Health, what is your main job? Is it more of just getting word out to people, or is it more of the, like Chris was mentioning, the communication on the social media and things like that?
My primary job is to be the storyteller and the voice of Oswego Health. So we've got 18 different campuses, 1,600 employees, almost 200 individuals on our medical staff. I am trying to gather as much information, but make sure that it is all one voice as we're communicating. So whether it is something critical like the flu, or maybe it's something celebratory that a provider just got an award, or we're starting a new service line, I want to make sure that voice is always the same tone as our chief brand officer. So really, I'm the storyteller and the voice of the organization. So oftentimes, I'll write the press release or I'll help craft the story. But depending on the topic, we may use someone else as the face of that message. For example, I'm not going to be the one necessarily to go on the news and talk about flu or, the most recent vaccine. You want someone that's clinical. That's more of a trusted source, but I'm behind the scenes kind of crafting their talking points and making sure that it is aligned with our voice here at Oswego Health.
When we think of hospitals and healthcare, we typically think of physical health, like we were mentioning, like Kevin mentioned with the flu and things like that. But how important is for you guys to get out word about like things like mental health for someone's overall well-being?
Yeah, so mental health is near and dear to my heart. I actually lost my brother at the age of 16 to suicide. So when I took this job at Oswego Health, we are huge advocates in that space. We have the largest mental health inpatient unit here in Oswego called the Lobdell Center for Mental Health and Wellness, as well as 2 outpatient centers. And so health is the whole person. It's not just the symptoms that you are portraying. You're complaining about an earache, a headache, a broken arm. It's also what's happening on the inside as well too. So we are very, very huge on advocating for mental health. It may not be something that is visibly seen, but we all, at some way or another, are dealing with mental health. So we are very much advocating for that. We encourage everyone to seek help, to talk to others, and simply be kind. Kindness can go such a long way. I always say that you never know what someone's going through. And by simply opening a door or maybe saying what you're thinking, you see someone and they look nice, compliment them, because that's going to resonate for hours or days. So if you can't necessarily fix someone, but you can be kind and empathetic, you could be just as powerful and helping with someone's mental health.
And how do you go about, first and foremost, let me say I'm sorry to hear about your brother, but and first, how do you go about getting out word about mental health and things like that?
Yeah, so we have, like I said, 3 centers here in Oswego County, but we treat patients from all over that will come to us for mental health, inpatient and outpatient. And so we are working in schools. We have school-based counselors, so we're starting really young and advocating for their voice and for them to be comfortable sharing, so reducing that stigma. We often sponsor community events, or we'll go and we'll table and just be advocates in that space. And then through all of our facilities, including our primary care, as part of screening, when they come to a primary care provider, we're asking, kind of just a pulse on their mental health and if they feel like they need to talk to someone and how things are going. So again, reducing that stigma and just being that resource for the community.
How much of that stigma around mental health do you think has been reduced over the past several years?
I think we still have a long way to go nationally. And the data is very lagging. I think we still are coming out of the pandemic as far as mental health numbers and, how many completions of suicide there has been. But I think, when more people talk about it, it definitely reduces that stigma. And I think when celebrities talk about it, the influencers talk about it to try to normalize it, that certainly helps in the space, depending on who's listening. But I think there's more work to be done. I think there'll never be enough work around mental health, but I do think that the more we talk about it, it does reduce that stigma. And I mean, we see people in our emergency room every single day, and sometimes as young as 4 years old for mental health issues. So it is an epidemic, if you will, around mental health. So I applaud those that are in that space, that are, boots on the ground, that are dealing with individuals that need that extra help.
Sure. And there's so many ways that mental health is linked to physical health. So
absolutely,
you have to look at both of them, right?
Yeah. And I think with 988 and publicizing that and being able to immediately access somebody to have a conversation with, you've got BetterHelp, a lot of app-based platforms that make access much easier. Living in a rural community, we know transportation is very, very difficult, as well as, just financial stability. So being able to have different access depending on your needs and more individuals in that space is, I think, the future of where we're going to go with mental health.
You talk about patient care today versus what it was 20 years ago when you were just getting started in the business. How much has that telehealth? How much is assessing things through the internet or online, talking to a doctor from the comfort of your home? How much has that changed healthcare?
I definitely think it's transformative. There's even bedside nursing that's virtual as well that many larger institutions have. I think we're just as an organization embarking a little bit on AI. I think there's a lot more opportunity for us to grow, but being so community oriented, we want to make sure that as we adopt new technology, we don't lose the patient-centered care, if that makes sense. Certainly being able to provide more access, but not replacing the caretakers that we have within the health system. I think it's a balance, right? Some individuals want that concierge service and they could really care less about that personal connection, where others, and I think that's where Oswego Health shines, is that personal connection, knowing your history, knowing your health journey and where you need to go and how we can support you and wrap you with services is where we as a health system, I think, really shine.
How has Oswego Health's branding evolved during your time there?
I've been there 6 years now, and I think we've shaken some things up a lot for the better. I think when I first started, I think the job description, I was going to be the editor of, I think, 12 patient newsletters. I'm like, all right, I guess I can do this. And I think my first week I asked my team, all right, so what's the return on investment? Like, are we including like a tear card or something? They can get more information from us. And there was no trackability. And that was a full-time job, just editing and putting out patient newsletters. So I said, let's put a pin in that and let's figure out how we can meet our consumers and our community where they are. So we started to dabble more into digital marketing. And instead of that shotgun approach, we really kind of adopted that sniper approach and being really purposeful in our targeting and our messaging. So I think we've evolved quite a bit. I will say I started in August of 2019. And if you fast forward 8 months, that's when the World Health Organization announced COVID. So that was a lot of fun. I learned healthcare by drinking from a fire hose. My personal motto is I can pivot on both feet wearing heels. I mean, it was outside of, breathing into a paper bag under a desk. It was insane. It really was. Wow, but I think it's now looking back, and even the PTSD around that, I feel like I am so much more equipped from a communication standpoint, and all of us, the distrust because of the rapid fire of conflicting information that was being delivered to us. Or retracted or whatever, it's really made me kind of step back from a communication standpoint and say, purposefully, when do we need to say something? When can we hold back and maybe let somebody else be the leader in that space? And, we don't have to always be so reactive from a communication standpoint. I think that's what our community and our patients deserve, is a trusted source versus just someone being quick to offer advice or opinion or whatever it may be. So I think I'd like to say we've taken Oswego Health, from the dark ages from a communication standpoint to more modern day, but there's certainly a lot more that we can do in that space. And that's what I think we're looking forward to next.
You'd mentioned did you say 8 newsletters?
Yeah.
So is that normal for like I guess any company?
Well, my predecessor was a journalist. So I think and she was in the position for like 25 years. So I think that's all she knew. And so we did, I think our marketing budget is not very large, but 90% of it was wrapped up in print advertising in our local newspapers. Wow. And the printing and distribution of newsletters. Like that was it. So I kind of said, given a limited budget, we have to be very intentional with where we're spending it and making sure that there is some sort of return on investment, because though we're a nonprofit, we need patients to come through our doors. And we just were missing the mark completely. So I think my team, we've grown from a team of 2 to a team of 4, and we're doing so much more in the space. And we're really spending a lot more on like sponsorships, but more like community partnerships. And, we can't care for the community by ourselves. Though we're the largest healthcare system, we need to lean on others. So if somebody else in our community, if it's a nonprofit that's doing really well in that space, say you've got a partner that's putting on an event for mental health or for cardiac health. We don't have to be the ones that's always doing it. Let's partner with them to help amplify that message in the community, because that's only going to benefit all of us together. So we're doing more of that purposeful sponsorship and collaboration with our marketing dollars now.
So, I mean, your predecessor, obviously, you said was a journalist and was there for, would you say, 20 some odd years?
Yeah.
So those newsletters, when she did it, that was pre really internet, maybe not pre-internet, but very much digital, like, social media and things like that. So
yeah.
She never seems like she never really like turned the corner and moved into the digital age, so to speak.
Yeah. And prior to myself coming to Oswego Health, I worked at an ad agency in Syracuse for almost 10 years. So I had national and international clients, and I was initially charged of like our marketing strategy, and then I evolved into account services. So my background was in, developing unique strategies specific to our clients' goals. And so bringing that kind of experience to Oswego Health has allowed us to evolve more in our communication strategy overall.
So for many of us who went to Oswego 20 plus years ago, oh man, it's a long time.
I know
ago,
that's
guys.
I was doing the math today, Chris, and I'm like, oh my gosh, 22
It's
years.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
And even longer for those two, but but I'm not far behind. So Oswego Health, yeah, I know. No one has to know that though. Oswego Health was pretty much just a hospital in the city for when we were going to school.
Yeah.
What is Oswego Health's footprint today?
Yeah, so we have currently 18 locations throughout Oswego County, and we are getting ready to open our first clinic in Onondaga County in March. So it's been kind of a strategic focus for us, is growing. We often say, our primary service area, most of it is the lake, and fish don't need healthcare. So in order to stay viable and independent, we have to look for additional patients elsewhere. So we've got recently, I think since the pandemic, we're seeing more individuals coming north for healthcare, and maybe because of access. We've got, 6 different primary care locations. So again, we're providing that access. We have free parking, a lot of unique perks to, coming to our health system, but we've grown exponentially, and I don't see us stopping. And our board is very supportive in us remaining independent. So we have no one governing us except for our board and our community. And that's what's great, is that we can make real-time decisions. We can adapt to what our community needs, and we don't have somebody else outside of this community or outside of this state that's making decisions for us.
So has that been a conscious decision to not become part of a, large medical network conglomerate, so to speak, with all these other hospitals and doctors? And I feel like I know doctors that have said they've had to move on and go into these larger hospital networks to stay alive at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's very competitive. And I think for those that survived the pandemic and that financial uncertainty, it's not easy. The math is not mathin' like in healthcare. It is very, very challenging to operate a nonprofit healthcare system in today's day and age, especially when insurance payers are not paying the rates that are completely reimbursable. And so the cost of healthcare for us and the rising costs of salaries, it's very challenging, but I think we are very financially critical of ourselves. And, we have a strategic plan, and oftentimes we have to say no to certain things because it does not align with where we're trying to go strategically as an organization. So we may shelf an idea until time, allows, but we're very, very focused. And, I think it's unique that we're we're independent, but our board is very supportive and does not want another entity to kind of gobble us up.
That's great. Because, so many hospitals and doctors' offices right now are going the opposite direction. That, it's great to hear like one network that's kind of staying local and, not getting taken up,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that you used to work in the ad space, in the ad space. and you've been in the marketing world your whole career, but you're obviously this current role was the first time you worked in healthcare. So
Mhm.
what was it like? Were there any fish out of water moments when you first, were starting adapting? I obviously you mentioned the whole COVID, COVID aspect of it. Or is this role more or less kind of the same to previous positions you've had?
I've had several different positions outside of this, and I think what prepared me the most for working in healthcare was working at an ad agency. I had tourism, volunteer organizations, financial, that all different sectors, manufacturing. I just had not represented healthcare. And so I said, you know what, if I can be boots on the ground for a manufacturing and then pivot to tourism, healthcare will be a breeze. And for the most part, it has been. But oftentimes, it's very critical. The community and in this space, I think because of what's happened in the past, you're held to such a higher standard, rightfully so, right? And you really get one shot at this. And
Mhm.
outside of chasing down an ambulance, it comes down to patient decision. So, on day one of our new hire orientation, I always stress with new hires that regardless of their job title, they could be janitorial, they could be facilities and engineering, they could be a dietitian in our cafeteria. They have so much power when it comes to a patient or a visitor's experience. You don't know what someone's going through when they walk through a healthcare entity. It could be the most beautiful moment of their life. They're about to meet their first grandchild. It could be they just dropped off dad to our nursing home. It could be they're admitting their 18-year-old to a psych inpatient unit. It could be they're waiting on the lab results for a cancer diagnosis. And how you encounter and you react to them, regardless of their role, helps shape their opinion of us. And again, we get one shot at this. And so many of those interactions happen before they even meet their doctor. I often say when they come to our campus and they can't find where to park, or the sidewalks aren't shoveled, then they get inside and maybe the person that they're speaking with has had a really rough morning, and that's personified onto the individual that they're talking to. All of those things add up to that patient experience and our reputation as a brand. So I think, being immersed in this, I've not had that experience before, but I purposefully immerse myself in a patient's experience because I want every single one of them, regardless of why they're here, for them to leave, one, hopefully healthier than when they first came in, but hopefully our team has supported them in their journey in some way, and they leave feeling cared for, feeling noticed, feeling seen. And that's kind of where I think I love the most about my job is it's communication, but it's so much more than that.
Mhm.
It's who we are as an organization and making sure that on day one, all of our employees understand that they're a part of this. I can say I can spend millions of dollars on advertising, and it could take one patient bad experience to jeopardize our 144-year reputation to throw it all out the window. But it could take one staff member's interactions that could make that patient a patient for life because of how they were treated prior to seeing a physician or having their surgery or whatever else that they're here for.
Kind of goes to the kindness aspect you mentioned earlier, right?
Absolutely.
But also one other thing we were talking about earlier was the different channels and things like that. And how do you handle um, people that don't want to get vaccinated or something like that, or people that are trying to find something a different way of getting vaccinated. Like I know when my kids were born,
Mm-hmm.
there were multiple different options of vaccinations. How do you handle people that say, well, I don't want to do it this way, I want to do it this way, and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where I lean in on my clinical team to say, what's the positive, what's the negative, what are the alternatives that are out there, and our job as a comm team is to just present the facts and then encourage them to have those conversations directly with their providers. The providers are going to provide more of that meat that they're going to need to either sway them one way or to understand why they want to go a different way. But from a comm standpoint, again, it's that one voice. If instead of it being so fragmented because we have so many different providers, it's controlling that narrative, right? So that if our providers are, some of them are pretty influential on social media, it's kind of, I'm not putting leashes on them, but I'm saying, hey, you have to understand that if you're going to say something as an individual, give me that additional documentation or resources or links so that our patients, if they see your posts on Instagram and you're our GI doc and they've got questions about it, they can come to our website and they can get more information about what our GI doc is recommending or our primary care doc on a certain vaccine.
At one point in your career, Jamie, you were SUNY Oswego's Associate Director of Annual Giving, and that wasn't long after you graduated.
Yeah.
What was that like to return to Oswego to work after graduating?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite surreal. I think to have the opportunity to come back on campus, and at that point was when SUNY Oswego was in their first comprehensive capital campaign, and the campus center was being built.
But
So there was a lot of buzz going on campus with President Stanley. It was an exciting time. I actually ran the student telefund, which was very interesting part of my career. I don't think I'll ever do that again, but it was, it was interesting. So make sure you answer their phone calls when they call. But yeah, it was great because I was able to connect with alumni and not only, solicit their support, but then get them even more engaged back with the campus. Invite them to come and speak to a class or connect them to a student that's maybe moving into DC area. And I see that this alum's in that area and get them connected to be kind of that mentor for them. So that part was very rewarding. But, I had my sights on always working in an ad agency. So when opportunity came up, I jumped on it to work in Syracuse.
So to that, what led you to your passion for marketing?
Oh man. So I went to college. I went to SUNY Oswego with possibly two paths. I thought to myself, marketing. I think on 90210, someone was in the advertising world. I don't even know. And I thought that could be great, right? And then I also thought I wanted to be a teen psychologist. So it was the decision was made very easy for me. I think my first semester I took Psych 101 and Marketing 100. Marketing I got an A on. Psych, I think I got a D. So I said, okay, maybe the stars are trying to tell me something. And then my sophomore year, I became an RA, and that's when 9/11 happened.
Oh,
and my entire floor was from downstate.
Oof.
And I was just not mentally prepared to deal with. I mean, I'll never forget, I was an RA of rigs, and I walked in, like I always do, into the main lounge, and usually students gather right by the big TV. And I walked in, and it's like I saw ghosts. I mean, their faces were just so glued to the TV, and everyone was so emotional. And I'm like, what is happening? And then to go and support my residents on the floor, several of them were not able to connect back home with their loved ones. The lines were all kind of, just being occupied, and it was just so I'm like, okay, I think this may be a sign that I am not the right person to guide necessarily from a mental health standpoint clinically. But that's what I love about Oswego Health. I think I've kind of found my purpose. So when my brother passed away when he was 16, I've been an advocate in the space for mental health. And when I found out that Oswego Health was also a huge champion for mental health, I thought, this is my way of making a difference. And so it's been extremely rewarding to be able to work directly with that clinical team to help support them in the community and to help support their patients. So it's been kind of a full circle, but yes, I think, 90210 influenced me significantly, and we're going to go with that.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin and I are both from downstate. I mean, Chris from Albany. I mean, 9/11 affected everybody, but
oh yeah,
being from downstate, I'm sure Kevin as well can sympathize with what the kids that you were RA for were going through. Cause it was, I mean, we were home already at that point. We were living down there, but just, seeing everything was, insane, and having family members that are in the area and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned before that you were from the Western New York area. What led to, your decision to attend Oswego?
I checked out several colleges, and I was actually supposed to go to a small school in Boston to play field hockey. It was D2, and right when I met with the coach. I absolutely loved it, met with the team. It was great. And then my mom, kind of made a comment like, well, what if something happens? You're going to be 6 hours away from home. Let's try to maybe narrow in your radius a little bit. So I'll never forget, she drove me to SUNY Oswego, and on my way, I fell asleep in the car in the passenger seat. And I woke up, and from my hometown to SUNY Oswego, you take 104. And beyond Rochester, it is country roads. And I come from a small town. So I think I woke up and all I saw were cows and like fields. And I'm like, where the hell are we going, Mom? But as soon as I got there, it felt like home. And it's kind of ironic. Like my daughter is a senior in high school right now. So we're going through all of this with her. And, she's trying to narrow in her decision. And I'm like, Maddie, I'm telling you, it will feel like home. Wherever it is, it's going to feel like you can live here and it's going to just click. So we've narrowed it down to about 2. So we're now going back and revisiting, and it's kind of fun to watch her through her eyes and reminisce. My husband and I met at SUNY Oswego, so we kind of stand back as she's, looking around the dorms and stuff, and we kind of, we see a little glimmer in her eyes, and it's nice.
Is Oswego in the top 2?
She did get accepted, but she wants to go into physical therapy. So this was kind of I think like hey, Mom, I'm going to apply here just for you to see if I can get in. But, she has no interest in going to SUNY Oswego just because of the programming.
Yeah. Physical therapy is one of their is actually one of their majors. That's not really a thing. It's like very few, they have a lot of majors, but that's one of them that they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my backyard is SUNY Cortland, and they've got all kinds of those.
So we went to SUNY Cortland. That was up there for her too, but now her number 1 is Ithaca. So
Oh wow,
there you go.
Yeah, big rival there. Jeez.
Yeah, I have a good family friend that goes to Ithaca, and he loves it. He's graduating this year, and he loves it up there.
Yeah.
I work at Cornell, so I can vouch. for the Ithaca area. It's a great place. So. Jamie, you at Oswego, like when you decided to go and it felt like home to you, what were some of the things that you did at Oswego while you were a student that maybe, led to where you are today?
Yeah. So some of my favorite memories, playing broom ball in Romney.
Oh, nice.
I loved that.
Broom
That
ball,
was
broom
so fun. And then going to mug night right afterwards. And then when Hewitt was, the hot pile that we probably all remember when they would have late night in there. Like that was awesome. I'll never forget. I'd have my full meal plan, and a bunch of us decided we were going to go to Daytona for spring break, and we were all very, very poor. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go to late night for like 3 months, and I'm just going to get as much bags of chips and Snapples and water. So I think ate off of my late night snacks the entire week we were in Daytona.
Nice. That's smart. That's actually good thinking right there.
That is excellent.
That's smart.
Yeah. And then, I think I involved myself in the Oswegonian. I was the sales manager while I was there. So, realized that I wasn't necessarily a salesperson, but I had just a knack for communication and business relations. And that certainly helped pay, some of my rent and extracurricular activities while I was a student there. But really had a great experience with the marketing program. Rich Hall was great experience. I often try to go back on campus, if it's not for a hockey game, but just to drive through, Washington Boulevard and see kind of just how the campus has transformed. And it's almost unrecognizable. But I think the core of, being a Laker will never be changed.
So when you said that, you just felt at home at Oswego when you got there, you're obviously a Western New Yorker, so the cold doesn't really bother you per se. But was it like, were you there during the cold time, or did you get bamboozled like some people that like go there in September when it's nice
Jason,
and warm?
I think that's you downstate, right? Like you
I
had
totally
no
got
idea to
bamboozled.
pack.
I mean, I love the cold. Don't get me wrong. I like the cold, so I'm okay with it. But I totally went there, and I got there in one of those really nice April days.
Oh yeah,
you know, and like,
oh yeah,
I was like, this is beautiful.
Yep.
You know, not thinking that the wind was going to come off the lake and like make me use every ounce of weight I have in my body to walk to class. You know, but like, were you there when it was like a blizzard outside, or were you there? Was it nice? Was it a nice day outside?
Yeah, I think it was like an April day, you know, maybe a little bit of rain or something, but the lake definitely sold it for me. You know, it's a beautiful campus, breathtaking. And being that, you know, 2 hours away from home, I knew my parents weren't going to check in on me, but I knew if I needed to get home, it wouldn't be a problem. But I think, you know, just meeting people immediately. I actually met my husband the first week of school. Wow. And we've been together ever since. We've been together 22 years, which is crazy. Wow. So I think I went into college thinking, not that I wanted to change who I was as a person, but I could be anybody I wanted to be. And nobody knew my backstory, so I could transform myself. And so I think I pushed myself to try new things each and every day when I was on campus. And that's kind of what I'm trying to tell my daughter is, you don't need to change as a person at a core, but if you're a little timid, step outside of your shell when you go. Or if you're, you know, overexerting yourself, like pull it back in. Like no one knows your backstory, so you can rewrite it every single day, however you want, until you figure it out.
You're a brand new person when you go to college.
Right.
Like
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of it. And, you know, you've got to take that time for yourself. You know, you learn real quick when you know, have to make ramen at all hours of the night. You know, if you don't have to go to class. I partied a little too hard in the very beginning and, you know, faced some consequences because of that. But, you know, that's the beauty of this, is that you discover who you truly are as a person. And if you take advantage of all that a college has to offer, you set yourself up for that success.
Were you one of those first semester probation kids?
Yes.
I know. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends that were those people. I have a lot of friends that were those people.
It's kind of crazy. My daughter's basketball coach right now is actually was a drug and alcohol counselor that I had to spend some time with. I don't think he remembers me, so we're gonna.
That's funny.
But no, it was. You know, I think my parents dropped me off on the beautiful August day, and I think within 24 hours, I was like.
Well, Jamie, before we get you out of here, we like to ask our alum and students from Oswego questions about food, because we love food. We were really big into the chicken patty sandwich back in the day. Is there a particular food item that was either on or off campus that you really like to indulge in?
Ooh, I believe when Hewitt Union in its heyday had Taco Bell.
Yes, it did.
In there.
Yes, it
did. So
did.
that was like a treat.
Yeah.
But I think just having access to the dining hall as often as we did, you know, I think I put on freshman 30 or 40 pounds. But, you know, and then after you move off campus and, you know, you have to pay for everything, you kind of drop the pounds. But chicken patty was always the greatest. You know, I loved the Taco Bell. I loved the waffle bar. Yes. You know, like in the hotels, you make them yourself. Like, yeah, good times.
Did you throw any bagels at Romney? We have to ask.
No. So I was intrigued by the title of your podcast. I'm like, man, I went to many different hockey games and different sporting events. I don't think I ever witnessed a bagel getting thrown.
It was probably just after or just before you came. I don't know, actually. It probably overlapped a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because you would have started in 2000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, it didn't happen every game. Only one
That's
game,
true.
really. It was
Just
only just the
Plattsburgh.
Plattsburgh
Against
game.
a certain team? Plattsburgh, you said?
Plattsburgh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun. And
absolutely. Thank you.
Hope we'll see you again sometime on the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Go Lakers.
And that was the Senior Vice President of Communications and Chief Brand Officer of Oswego Health and fellow Oswego alum, Jamie Leszczynski, on the Throwing Bagels podcast.
That was she was really good, very informative.
Very informative. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, back when Oswego Health was there, like Chris said, we were, we only thought it was the hospital, and we were like, the hospital.
Right. Who wants to go to Oswego Hospital? Got to avoid that at all costs.
But now, apparently, it's a lot better than it was.
It's grown. Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Back in the day, in the 20 some odd years since we've been there.
Because they now, because Fulton used to have its own hospital, and Oswego Health now operates that hospital. It's more like an urgent care now, I believe. But several locations in Fulton from covering a whole range of stuff. Sure. And then Oswego, of course, Central Square. There's they keep expanding. As Jamie mentioned, they're expanding into Onondaga County now. So
yeah, that's interesting. I wonder where, because I mean, once you cross the Seneca River, it turns into Oswego County. So I'm wondering how far down they would come into Onondaga County before, upstate gets upset. You're in our territory.
Yeah. Imagine that. Medical wars.
Right.
I'm instantly transported to Anchorman, where the news teams all fight each other.
That'd be awesome.
With the chain. Steve Carell. That's such a great scene.
That'd be great. That would be awesome.
Such a great
You got
scene.
a bunch of different people. You got some doctors. You got a CEO from each coming out there. Throwing fireballs at each other.
Right? That's great.
Man, that would be awesome. I'd pay to see that.
Now we were talking with, since Jamie mentioned off the air before we started that she was from Western New York, and so we all had to apologize because the Bills.
Yeah.
Oof, man,
that was a tough loss.
That was
tough.
Very tough.
They got robbed, in my opinion. They got robbed.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth on that catch interception situation.
I think it was a catch. And I think he was down. I think it was not very different than the Devontae Adams play from last night.
I think it is different, but I still think it was a catch. The two are different plays, but I still think it was a catch, because once you catch the ball and you are contacted while you're on the ground,
you're down.
It's done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's done. It's a catch.
Mm-hmm.
So if the referees don't blow that call like we think they did, McDermott still got a job today.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Imagine one play. I mean, it's not one play, because think about it. They had that ball into the end zone. That was it Cooks that was being held on that play? That ball that was thrown out of the end zone, but it was an uncatchable ball.
Yeah, that was a pass interference that they missed.
And I don't think that should have been called pass interference. I think it should have been called holding, because the ball was uncatchable.
Yes.
So I don't think it should have been pass interference because it was an uncatchable ball. But he was holding him before he even got to the end zone.
It was a hold.
He was holding him before the ball was in the air. So it should have been holding, just a 10-yard penalty, but it would have been an automatic first down.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you have the pass interference going the other way when Denver had the ball back.
Yep. Yeah.
So
here's the thing that bothers me about those penalties at the end of the game. They didn't call anything all game. Like, there's nothing. Right. And there was hand grabbing. There was probably interference we didn't see. There's obviously a holding call that we think that should have been called, and nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then a questionable pass interference call, the first one, where Joey Bosa, destroyed Bo Nix for some inexplicable reason. And so I guess it's a wash, because it would have been a 15-yard penalty anyway.
Right.
But that second interference call was correct. I mean, he did grab him and pull him down and all that stuff. But anyways, yeah. Oh, Buffalo. God, are they cursed? They're cursed, right?
I mean, the more and more things happen, it just kind of feels that way. It almost feels like they sold their soul to the devil back in the early 90s to make those 4 Super Bowls. And they never won it, but they got there 4 straight years,
which is impressive.
which
It's
is
still
which
impressive.
is a feat all to its own.
Yeah,
I mean, to have never won one of those is crazy,
it
but
is.
They yeah, I don't know. I just feel like they're cursed. Maybe the new stadium will change things. Who knows?
Maybe.
I doubt it, but
Think
I
about
just
how they've lost in the playoffs / Super Bowl. You have the wide right. You have the Music City
oh, I remember that
Miracle,
well.
right? Yeah, that was a forward pass, by the way.
No, it
Let's-
wasn't.
well, that's
No, it wasn't.
at,
No, it's
that
not.
was a forward pass.
No, it wasn't.
And then you have Mahomes and Kansas City, 13 seconds.
Yep.
Somehow 3 plays and they score a touchdown or whatever it was, and they ended up winning that game. And then you have that debacle Sunday or Saturday, whenever it was. It's
crazy.
They're cursed.
I mean, 5 turnovers.
That doesn't help.
Fair.
Although
Yes,
one of
it's
those
fair
is
criticism.
it includes the interception that may or may not have been, should have been an interception.
Sure.
But even then, they fumbled. Like,
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
James
I mean,
Cook cannot be fumbling the ball.
I mean, no.
not be fumbling.
That and then what's Allen doing at the end of the first half?
Yeah.
He's holding the ball out.
Yeah,
Ugh.
that's
Nuts, man.
who knows? Like maybe they're not cursed. Maybe it's just bad play. Like you can't be that reckless.
But you know what the funny thing is,
And
though?
that's it. Like
That's the first time that Josh Allen has turned the ball over more than one time in a single game in the playoffs. So it's not like he's been reckless this entire time, right? It's just been wacky stuff that's happened.
But now it's like now people are talking. I mean, I don't believe this, but now I've heard people saying, maybe Josh Allen is just, not that the Bills should get rid of him, but maybe Josh Allen is just can't get over the hump. Like he's that guy. Like he can get he'll get that far, and he can't just, which I kind of think is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean,
do
to
too.
be honest with you, if it wasn't for him, the Bills wouldn't even be where they were this year.
No.
The
They'd be
Bills were
Jets.
not that good of a team this year. They
No,
weren't.
they'd be
They
the
just-
Jets. That's it.
no, I mean that wouldn't go that far. Like, but their defense left a lot to be desired this year.
All right, they'd be the Jets.
desired.
They'd be the Jets with interceptions. All right, well, that's fair.
You know what else I heard? They were the first team to. I think I heard they were the first team to lose a playoff game and not punt.
Really? Wow. That's nuts.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Oh, Bills. Oh, we feel so bad for the Bills, man. I feel bad for them.
But maybe the new stadium brings some karma, good karma, right?
Hope so.
Gets-
I hope
gets them
so.
over the hump. It worked
They
for
deserve
Oswego, right?
It did.
Oswego's
It did.
first season in the new rink. Pow! National title.
Won a
So
natty, baby. That's right.
Maybe the same applies.
Who knows?
We'll see.
You never know. Anything's possible.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it for this edition of the Throwing Bagels podcast. I want to thank Jamie Leszczynski for joining us. And, she mentioned about how she lost her brother to suicide. And, if you or someone is struggling with their mental health, help is available. You can call or text 988. That is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. So please do that. We're going to put this information up on our website as well, in case you want to take a look at that at any time. But know that there is always help if you need it. And that website, by the way, throwingbagels.com. You can reach us by email, throwingbagelspodcast@gmail.com. And all our socials are up on the web. You know where they are. Just go find them. We believe in you. You can do it. Jason, Chris.
Kevin, we nailed it. Nailed the email address.
Yep.
Yes.
Good job.
Finally. Bye.
Bye.